Hello everyone, and welcome to my Days of Lies official channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Nicole and Eric locked gazes were alone together at the Demera estate. "I should go get that food for you," Eric mumbled before racing out to the kitchen, and Nicole tried to laugh it off once the situation was clear. Eric soon reappeared with sandwiches and drinks, causing Nicole to express gratitude. "If only the baby's father was as concerned," Nicole moaned. "I'm sure he has his reasons," Eric argued diplomatically. "They're not going to be good enough. It's as if he's lost sight of what's important. This baby hasn't even been born, and he's already abandoned us," Nicole responded. Nicole quickly relieved Eric of babysitting duties, but when they hugged goodbye, it escalated to a passionate kiss. "We can't do this. I'm with Sloane, you're with EJ," Eric complained as he drew away from Nicole. "I'm sorry, I just felt that old pull between us, and those old feelings of being abandoned and worthless," Nicole said. "It's okay, and you shouldn't feel anything either, and EJ's a jackass for doing this to you. And if that baby were mine—" "I'm sorry, that's not helpful," Eric responded. "You would have been the perfect father, and you still can be, if things work out with you and Sloane," Nicole grumbled. When Leo joined them in the wine cellar, EJ and Kristen both exhaled a sigh of relief. "I never thought I'd be saying this, but thank God you're here," EJ said. "I don't mean to kink shame, but what is going on here?" Leo replied, "Oh well, you know, playing cops and robbers can get a little out of hand." Kristen laughed. "Seriously?" Leo mumbled. "Of course not, you moron. Our sister Megan did it," Kristen elaborated. "She's held us captive down here for weeks," EJ went on to explain. Leo boasted that Kristen and EJ's disclosure regarding Megan wasn't entirely unexpected. "I knew she was up to something, so I followed her here. Lady Whistleblower can always sniff out a good story, and you'd be surprised how, more often than not, my nose leads me to uncovering an underground bondage dungeon just like yours," Leo added, before remarking that it was unusual for siblings to engage in such practices together, to which EJ and Kristen both groaned. Leo was curious as to what had triggered Megan's rage, but neither Kristen nor EJ could recall that part of the narrative. "Come on, this isn't your locker combination," Leo objected. "Megan injected us with something to make us forget," Kristen said. "Does this have something to do with her son?" Leo was perplexed. "Actually, that does sound familiar," Kristen replied. "It feels more high stakes to me, like it's life or death," EJ complained. "God, you two are useless." Leo was upset. "Unless you want to fully commit to your pen name, lady, I recommend you untie us right now," Kristen exploded. Nicole was still talking to Eric about previous disappointments when EJ and Kristen reappeared from the underground tunnels and took turns telling what had occurred to them. Eric sighed throughout the story, then exited the mansion and sighed again as he reflected on what had happened with Nicole earlier. Nicole sighed as EJ dashed off to take a shower, thinking about what had transpired with Eric earlier. After showering, EJ rejoined Nicole and wondered what had caused Eric's visit to the estate. "A very good reason, and we will talk about that, but not right now," Nicole said before changing the subject, informing EJ about the earlier pregnancy scare and assuring him that everything was great. EJ was pleased to hear Nicole's good news, but he quickly returned the talk to its original issue. "You assumed the worst of me, that I didn't care about you or our child, and you went to Eric," EJ speculated. "That's not how it went, EJ. You already know how I feel about you." Nicole objected. "Do I?" Nicole conceded the point after EJ responded. "When I think about how Megan could have killed you, I realize that I do. I love you," Nicole said, but EJ was unconvinced. "I just feel like I might have talked you into saying that, or pressured you," EJ worried, but Nicole downplayed the worry and promised a night of activities to back up her claim. Kristen dialed 911 from the living room to report Megan's recent crimes. then dashed off in search of EJ's assistance after struggling to provide the skeptical operator with the necessary details, and Leo crept out of the secret tunnels with an expensive bottle of wine once the coast was clear. Harris waved a revolver around, apologizing for interrupting the engagement party at the bistro. "I'm here to eliminate a threat," Harris began, eliciting a theatrical gasp from Megan. "I'm the threat, and he's coming to kill me." Megan worried, turning away from Harris to confront a terrified audience, each of whom had no reason to dispute the performance at that moment. Harris clarified, tiredly, that Stefan was the intended target. "You don't even know my name," Stefan objected. "It's nothing personal. I'm just following orders," Harris explained. Stefan and Gabby began disputing whether EJ was to blame, and Wendy attempted to use a distraction to call the police, but Harris recognized what was going on and shot the gun at a bottle of champagne to demonstrate the repercussions of such a move. "The man who wants you dead is Lai Shin," Harris informed Stefan once everyone had recovered from the shock of the gunfire, and Megan responded with a sigh of satisfaction, happy with Rolf's work. Wendy objected, "I know my brother, and he would never." "Lai has a history of trying to eliminate his competition by any means necessary," Gaby responded, "and he insisted you not come to this party," Johnny recalled. Harris' days as an assassin were meant to be over, according to Chad. "You've been brainwashed again, this time by Lee," Chad deduced. "Lee's done this before, he brainwashed Stefan," Gabby concurred. "Who in this town hasn't been brainwashed?" Dimitri spoke quietly to Gwen. "It's sort of a thing here. And just wait until somebody pulls off a Mission Impossible-style mask," Gwen replied, piqued Dimitri's interest. Chad and Stephanie took turns attempting to contact Harris, and Gaby ultimately joined the cause. "You're not a murderer," Gaby was adamant. Gwen clarified, Actually, technically, he is." "Not helping," Gaby exploded. Rafa arrived quickly and attempted to take charge of the situation, but Gaby got in the way of a futile attempt to push Harris to the ground, and the gun went off during their struggle. Gaby jumped off Harris' back, desperate to check on Stefan, just as Dimitri discovered the bullet had actually hit Megan. Megan collapsed in Dimitri's arms and passed out, and Gaby took advantage of the distraction to knee Harris in the crotch and steal the gun. Then Gwen called an ambulance while Chad reported the situation to Rafe. Rafe was easily convinced that Lai was involved. "I saw Lee outside. He was staring up here. And I thought he was going to come up here and wreak havoc and make a fool of himself, but it was obviously much worse," Rafe explained. Rafe chained Harris to a chair and instructed Chad and Stephanie to monitor the situation until backup came. "I have a mission to complete." Harris was concerned. "You failed," Chad counseled. "Poor guy can't seem to catch a break," Stephanie observed. Johnny attempted to console Wendy. "When I lost Channel to my sister, I was so desperate to get her back that I almost did something very nefarious," Johnny admitted. "Did you brainwash a Navy SEAL in order for him to kill Ali?" Wendy retorted, eliciting a shake of the head from Johnny. "Of course not, 'cause you're not a criminal, a heartless bastard with no conscience," Wendy said. "There's no excuse for the horrible, unforgivable thing my brother did." "None at all," Wendy said. While waiting for confirmation of Stefan's death, Lai paced around the Shin apartment, fantasizing that Gaby would drop by that very night and call the occurrence a blessing in disguise, paving the door for the proper pair to be together again. Gaby soon came, and the visit unfolded just as it had in Lee's fantasy, until Stefan appeared to reveal that the assassination attempt had failed, and Rafe followed to apprehend the presumed mastermind. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, so please don't forget to subscribe my channel and don't miss any update.